How's that? That's better. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's now officially, we have sprung forward daylight savings time. So it seems to be like a little bit of an hour ahead for some folks. Some people are still sleeping, and that's fine because we still got a great show. If you're watching on Twitter, you can join the conversation on YouTube or on Twitch TV, and we have a poll up whether or not we want to find out if you're going to support the Shazam opening this weekend. And I personally will be going on Thursday with my eldest son. We're going to watch that particular program and have a great time doing it. So normally we have some panelists, but I think we might have a little daylight savings lag. So we're just going to keep on going. If there's anything you want to talk about, please post it in the comments, and we will get to them as soon as we can. So there we are. Let's see. First thing I wanted to talk about was some Star Wars news. There was some Star Wars news that came up this week that I thought was just kind of interesting myself. Found this on the Twitterverse. Taika Waititi is still working on his next Star Wars film, and he will likely star in it. And that caught my attention because, he was in the Jojo Rabbit, and he played Hitler in that. And plus, he was Korg in the Thor movie. So he has a habit of joining in on the fun. Of course, he is an actor in his own right and starred with James Gunn in the Suicide Squad. Who it wasn't the biggest role, but he doesn't tend to play the leading man or anything like that. So I expect that maybe he will reprise his role as, what was that, IG-88? Maybe somebody can tell me. But he's been in the Star Wars universe already. So I went down the rabbit hole and I saw this particular shakeup right here, Star Wars shakeup. Kevin Feige and Patty Jenkins movies were shelved, while Taika Waititi is looking to star in his own. So there was more to it than met the eye. So I thought to myself, let's follow this and see what it says here. And I read a little bit about it and clipped this part out. So, what Star Wars movie could slot into the open December 2025 release? That's pretty soon. Uh, Sources say Thor Love and Thunder filmmaker Taika Waititi continues to work on his possible Star Wars feature, and he would most likely have a part in it as well. Similar in prominence to his standout role as an imaginary Adolf Hitler in his Oscar winning 2019 feature Jojo Rabbit. And although Lucasfilm has yet to officially confirm it, sources say studio is committed to a Star Wars movie from director Shamid Obaid Chinoy. I murdered that name, by the way. A two-time Oscar-winning documentarian for Saving Face, A Girl in the River, The Price of Forgiveness, who made her live-action narrative debut with 2 episodes of 2022's Miss Marvel for Disney. Damon Lindelof from Watchmen and Justin Britt Gibson, counterpart, were attached in October to write the script for the movie. So I found that to be very, very interesting.
But you called it Miss Marvel. The title is Ms. Marvel.
Yes, that's correct. I never get those right. There's two S's, there's one S, there's a dot, there's an Misspippi. I don't know. I always get it wrong. So, what are your thoughts on a Taika Waititi film in the Star Wars universe? There, Chill.
If it's good, it's good. Taika Waititi produced The Mandalorian season finale for season one. It was entertaining. I think with the correct script, with a proper overseer, with like David Filoni, anything he does can be great.
Miss 1776. Good morning.
Good morning.
Uh, yeah, are you familiar with Taika Waititi?
I am, and I read the article, did a little research, and I read some of the comments from some of the people, and it seems like it's mixed. It could go either way. So, plus, I'm
Well,
still waking up over here on the West Coast.
oh, absolutely, yeah, yeah. You had a long night to begin with, so it's tough to wake up early in the morning, and I got my Diet Coke to get me started today. Normally, it's a cup of coffee, but you take what you can get. Well, I think he did a fine job with Jojo Rabbit. Didn't make a convincing Aryan, but still, it's told from the point of view of the child's mind. So what the child sees in reality are hardly ever the exact same thing. I think his role as IG-88 in the Mandalorian was that right? IG-88, is that who he played? No,
Nah, he played 11. You know
IG-11.
why I know that? Because it would be easy if the first was 11 and the second was the big number 88. It would be easy, but it's not easy. So that's how we remember.
IG-11. He did a great job and quite possibly the best nanny for little Grogu, I think. So I expect to see him again, and who knows? Maybe he'll write a whole story about that and how he got to where he was. Or did we
Droid
already see
story.
that?
You
Yeah, a
saw,
draw.
Droid Story 2, Droid Story 3. It's all there.
Yeah, yeah, it's very much so. So let's see. I think that's all I got on that one.
Well, you
And I
said
know.
the
Oh, I'm
Obeyed
sorry. Go ahead.
Chinoy who did Ms. Marvel. That's not interesting to me. I don't know how that director is, because of all of her other accolades I haven't watched. It's all script, baby. It's directing is such an overrated process. I think it's all about the scriptwriter. And if you got Damien Lindelof and what he has under his belt, it doesn't matter who the director is. Just give someone who knows how to direct a movie, and we'll get it.
Well, you know what? Hollywood does that a lot. They think that producers and writers and editors can fix anything that a director does. And as Fan Force Stick has taught us, if you don't let the director direct and you don't let him make the movie that he makes, uh, it could be trash. Um, the original Suicide Squad. Um, you had two things happening at the same time, and it was very devious the way they did that because Ayers was
Uh-huh.
making his film, he shot his film, and he was editing his film. Studio heads didn't like what he was doing, so behind his back, they got a company that is used to making trailers to re edit the film in concert at the same time without showing him it, without telling him about it. They greenlit his film and then released their own version of it, which is why the Suicide Squad looks the way it does and acts the way it does. And you go 45 minutes into it, they're still introducing characters, they're still rolling them those stupid credits across the screen to introduce who the character is, and it's a mishmash mess that looks like a some sort of 1980s music video. And when they come in behind the guy and they don't let him do his thing, Snyder fans will be quick to tell you this, you don't get what the director originally envisioned. And So, but in some cases, you're right that some movies don't turn out really great with the director doing his thing and only thing, um, as exampled by George Lucas in his later years, and then coming back and undoing a lot of the stuff that the collaborators did when he released the first trilogy. So I find that it is what it is, I guess. Final thoughts, anybody on that topic?
No.
Nope.
1776? No?
No, not in that one.
Okay. Well, I saw this particular tweet from Bounding into Comics. It says Dungeons and Dragons. Honor Among Thieves directors admit to emasculating film male leads and claims this was done not for woke reasons, but because it's funny and fresh. Okay. Let's take them at their word for it for a second. And I went down the rabbit hole and to their website to read the article. And it said here, following a brief discussion regarding their own personal histories with the original game and their ostensibly respectful but ultimately cynical feelings towards working with established IPs, the pair were eventually met with an observation from Very that the lead female characters lead female characters. There we go. I murdered that word too. Michelle Rodriguez and Sophia Lillis are the at the forefront of the action scenes, and the men are often hanging back. That was not an attempt at wokeness on our part, defended Goldstein in turn.
Oh, he said
Swear
wokeness. He used the word wokeness in his statement. Goldstein did. How
he
about that?
did. He did. That's his words. Swear to God, it wasn't. Daly backed up his creative partner. We like that Holga, whatever it is the bruiser that does the dirty work for the Edgin, and he doesn't like to get his hands dirty. We also love emasculating leading men. Well, now those two things are not mutually exclusive. I mean, I guess it can work together like that, but just because it's funny and fresh, said the former Bones star, it was the dynamic we had with Rachel McAdams and Jason Bateman characters in our previous co-directorial outing, Game Night, or Tom Holland versus Robert Downey Jr. in Spider-Man Homecoming, interjected Goldstein. We like our male heroes to be challenged and not simply heroic. What's funny is that our casting process on multiple films, we've met movie stars that, and there's no need for this, that you would think are comfortable enough in their own skin that they would be able to portray themselves in a vulnerable light. But a lot of them really don't feel comfortable doing that. Obviously, we won't name a name here, but there is a notable movie star. I can think of two who is handsome and awesome and will not make himself look weak. Tom Cruise. Excuse me. Um, that is so shocking because to me, that feels like the most fun that you could have as an actor. I think they love to do that, agreed Goldstein. But when it comes down to it, they're not really willing to look foolish or less than. So I kind of think they're making excuses for emasculating men, and it's not really fresh because everybody is now doing the turnaround thing, where you have what the traditionally male role looking a lot like a buffoon, and it's up to the women to make sure that everything goes straight. Now, hopefully, they do something different because a lot of the times when they do this, they don't make the characters likable. The male characters, the lovable buffoons, are still lovable. They're not as effective as say the women are. Where's my mind? There it is, right there. Bringing somebody else in here. Good morning, Warren.
Oh, good morning.
Daylight savings time sneaks up on everybody.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay, then.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So, what do you think, Chill?
I'm
Is it
still on
fun and
daylight
fresh?
savings time. I remember like looking at the clock and wondering what happened, but that's now I know.
Yeah.
So I think that the emasculation of men, or the pattern of it at least, is present now. It's showing up. It's still not that big of a deal to me, but I recognize it.
Miss 1776?
I mean, I think it's been done to death. I think once upon a time it was kind of funny when it was done to be funny. And even if I'm going to take them at their word that they didn't do it for political reasons, they just did it to be silly. It's just okay. Well, it's not fresh, it's not funny, it's not new anymore. And usually the women turn out horrible when they do the thing because they never work on a woman's character. So she usually just turns out like a whatever kind of word you want to stick in there for naggy and all that. So yeah.
Warren, what do you think about emasculating men for the sake of propping up women?
It's a plague. They need to get cured. Get back to the movies where the man would come into the movie and be like, "Shut up." I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No. It's okay. I don't have a problem with it, but the way they do it is my problem. It's one thing to you can always tear down a character and bring them back up, but when you butcher, like when you already go for the gut punch in the first part of the movie, why would the character want to help you? You already torn them down, and to me, I don't want to watch something where you already want to just gut punch him, and to a point where he doesn't want to help you. I have no problem watching a female lead. I've done it for years. I've watched um, Alien. I've watched Terminator. I've watched um, you know you could even say Jurassic Park. Where there's been a female lead. Um, I've watched, and to me, it's not fun, and it's more. It's not even. I don't. You're saying political. It's more social because in the age of body positivity and bad boss era, this is just it's spreading, and they think, well, if we do this, we're gonna get more money, and a lot of content creators are calling them out on it, and hence why they're stopping. They're like, you know what, this isn't working. We're not actually um, getting the crowd that we want. We're not making money because at the end of the day, you could be a man or a woman, but the color of green is something everybody. I meant money. Chill, by the way. Money will always triumph when it comes to things. So I'm not saying I'm talking about business, by the way. I'm not saying life, but in regards to business, if the money ain't coming, guess what? They'll make a change. So sorry to go on a rant, but that's my personal opinion.
How
And I
long do you
guess
think it'll take? I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
I was just gonna say, I guess when I say political, I'm trying to figure out new words to use instead of woke. So I'm like trying to. I guess I could use SJW. I'll just go back to that one.
No,
Go back
political
to
was right.
tried and true.
I think political was right. I need to rephrase myself too. I think political is right. I think social media should be added in that sentence. That's what I meant to say.
Oh,
Sorry.
I agree.
And I think Miss 1776 is right, and so is Chill. By the way,
I'm always
we had a
right.
conversation about the word woke and its roots
Yeah, and I
and
said
the
I'd come.
intentions,
Yeah.
and I think that it's like a lot of different things has been co-opted by a political group that is changing the meaning of what everything means, and they've done a lot of people have done a lot of different changing of meanings from the definition of vaccine to the definition of fascism. And woke was something that most definitely did not belong
Pull,
to uh, a
pull up the
generalized
urban
term.
diction. Pull up the urban dictionary. Thank you. And you can see the appropriation in real time. This is the definition from 2018, and somebody says, "Well, actually, I should probably read the whole thing." It's going to take a while, by the way. Okay. He
No,
says,
go
"I
ahead, please.
believed it is an evolving word that dances about on the slang usages and a somewhat different nuanced meaning depending on the context. From running social zeitgeist, it would describe it as modern hipsters referring to a person being described as been enlightened or having just discovered some politically progressive truth about society of the oppression and the class status of marginalized people and the obligation to treat them as extra special or revered in society. So again, this is a 2018 definition, okay? But this is prior to, I don't know, Tim Scott and politicians using it. He says, and understand that it is almost always used non ironically and seriously, only by the progressives. So when the conservatives use it, it mostly is to poke fun at the others' usage of it. So here it is in a sentence. After having taken classes in minority studies and seen the hidden oppressions of African American, he became woke to the seriousness of their plight and dedicated himself to be aware of it and understand they live in a different world than white people. And now if we go to a definition from another time, so 21, I'm getting something warped. It says shortened for awoken, starting in the late 1980s, gaining popular usage after Spike Lee movie School Days, where the final scene has an actor yelling, "Wake up," about the problems they face. The wake up or the woke term referred to those college age African American demographic that Lee addressed in many of his movies to be was not to sleep to the problems of race relations. He says here the word has been stolen from hip hop culture and usage and used as a derogatory term by right wing politicians. Not a lot of people like John Waters' movies, but the guy has been pretty woke for decades. So that was a 2021 definition of a guy recognizing the appropriation over here. Let's scroll down to like a 22. You know you're going to get something that's not authentic. It says here, the word woke has very broad definition that is very hard to define. Not really. He goes, in the conservative and the right-wing terms, it approximately means putting politics, or sexual education where it should be. I want to stop there for a second. No, that's false. Like this is like a made-up thing that you can do in 2022 once the word was used in the wrong way, where someone actually says, "Oh, no, I got it. I got the definition. I'll fix it on Urban Dictionary." You see, like in 2022, in freaking 2018, 4 years later, we had a better understanding of what that word was because some guy who wasn't watching news 24/7, right wing channels, had his own definition. Should I continue reading this? He says, though it is more often than not used as an umbrella term for anyone who disagrees with them. Not to be confused with awake, which means aware of what is happening in the world. It literally is awake. Okay, so he goes, see also, go woke, you go broke is a short rhyme also used by conservatives to describe how a company profits seem to nosedive when it becomes woke. Surprisingly, it's not far from the truth. That's valid, yeah. But it is because people are disgusted by inclusion and stuff. Woke culture or a woke person thinks they are awake to social issues, when in reality is they have been indoctrinated into thinking things that aren't true. Essentially, they aren't awake to anything at all. They just fall for propaganda thrown at them without question. She is so woke, only believing what's portrayed on legacy media. So as you can see from the verbiage here, the terminology, legacy media, it came in 2022. That definition of it is warped. I'm going to find an older one. Here we go, 2015. Being woke means being aware, knowing what's going on in the community, relating to racism and social justice. This guy wrote that in 2015. Do you see how, like, if we go through the time, it's been changed, right? Like, here's one in 2018 where a guy's just saying it's to wake up, it's past tense. Oh yeah, you can use the word woke that way also. Yeah. The blue pill. What? He says being woke is what happens when instead of taking one blue pill, you down the entire bottle. I'm sure glad I attended that college seminar on cryptogenderism. Now I'm really woke. A term often thrown around by people to know that someone agrees with the same conspiracy theories as them. Can you see how warped that is? Because to believe in a conspiracy theory now, that's the right wing way, not left wing way, right? Like everything has been waxed on and waxed off and reversed and changed.
Well, there's a lot of people who would believe that there's conspiracy theories on both sides. There's fine people on both sides, and there's conspiracy theories on both sides.
Yeah.
There's not even both sides. There's more than just two extreme positions about something. There's people who get paid on the left and people who get paid on the right to make
You know,
decisions.
if I was to go down a rabbit hole and have my own conspiracy theory, not that it's true or I have any evidence of it, But I think that politics for the longest time had two sides of the same coin, and it was the same currency, but one side was blue, one side was red. And speaking of changing things up, red being for the Republicans or the conservatives, it didn't used to be that way. They were blue, and the Republicans were blue, and the Democrats had red. But for some reason, they chose to change the status quo and started calling them red states because it was more evocative of communism and more evocative of the enemy, because at that time communism was the big bad guy. So people are misusing different terms, and it gets to a point where it's just ridiculous. Um, like he or she now doesn't mean he or she anymore. And I understand that language evolves. You can't call a bundle of wood what you used to be able to call a bundle of wood and what they still call cigarettes in England, because the language does evolve, and it's now a derogatory term for same-sex people. So, but in the same token, you can't steal something that means something to somebody else. You've got to let it be what it is. So I guess what that means is emasculating men isn't funny or fresh.
Exactly what it means.
Let's see, what do we got going on here? All right, Warren, you got anything else to add?
Now bring back good old Ralph Crandom and
Bang zoom to the moon.
yeah. Oh, and the Raptors stuff.
That's one of the conspiracy theories that I've got there, is that the moon landers, the reason we haven't gone back is because they found Alice up there. That's a honeymooner's joke, by the way, for those young people. Yeah, we said, one of these days, Alice, bang, zoom to the moon. It was going to strike her so hard that she would go up into space.
Someone said this joke. This is coming off sexist. It's like, why are there no women on the moon? Because there's nothing to clean.
I have to agree with you. That is a sexist joke.
It's funny though.
Didn't say it wasn't. But,
And I'm just like the most politically incorrect person there is. I really am sometimes.
But speaking of sexism, what a great transition. Thanks, Warren. Is Hollywood intentionally making bad female-led movies to keep them down? That's my own personal question, because I saw this again on the Twitter. We're back with Variety. Hollywood's glass ceiling remains in place. Infinitesimal increase in movies with female protagonists. And I wanted to see where this goes, because my first thought is to disagree with that and go back to the hundreds and hundreds of female lead actresses who have made successful action films.
Starting with Jennifer Lawrence.
Starting with Jennifer Lawrence, yes. And she really broke the mold for everybody there. So I went to the article here in Variety, and it says a new survey of the top 100 grossing domestic releases found that women only accounted for 33% of movie protagonists last year. I got to stop there for a second and wonder who's making the movies now that weren't making them before, because those are the people responsible for the 33%. According to the report by the Center for Study of Women in Television and Film at San Diego State University, there's a center for the study of women in television and film. Ah, I went too far. Didn't mean to click that. And don't expect actresses to get as many lines as their male counterparts. Females account for 37% of all speaking characters in 2022, up 3 percentage points from 34 in 2021. Men had 63% of speaking roles, and 0.0% of speaking characters were transgender. Um, Transgender people are still male and female, so why would you odd them out? They would they should go into one or two of those roles, I would think. Moreover, a whopping 80% of films feature more male than female characters, and only 11% of films had more female characters than male characters. And 9% of the films featured equal numbers of female and male characters. Of those female speaking characters, 64% were white, 18% were black, and 17% were Latina, and 8% were Asian. And don't expect those women on the screen to be seen in the workplace. A large percentage of male characters had an identifiable job than the female characters. Women in movies were also more likely to reveal whether they had a husband or a wife. Of female characters had an identifiable marital status compared to 36% of males.
That's kind of an empty stat because if you're the lead character of any movie, we'll know whether you're married or not.
Yeah.
I wish
And
that would have said 40% of female characters, lead characters, had an identifiable marital status. I think that would be more informative than just a regular woman on the street that's in your movie who had a couple of lines. You know, we didn't know they were married or not. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but then they would have nothing to complain about it. So
Well, there's still plenty of to complain about here.
well, their marital status was plenty important to the plot of the Bridges of Madison County. But other than that, I don't know. In the Bridges of Madison County, it's a single drifter guy gets together with a married woman, and it's all about their fling together and their righteous affair, if you know what I mean. So, and Hollywood remains youth based, at least when it comes to casting female roles. I expect that to change. And here's why. You got your boomers that are getting older, um, and they're going to want to see more of themselves on TV, and that happens on occasion. In the '80s, we had a lot of old people, and you had some great TV shows for old people that they just absolutely loved. You had your Matlock, you had Murder She Wrote,
Columbo.
you Columbo, that going further back a little bit, and you had like the Equalizer, which was an old man in an action role. So all of these things where people saw themselves on TV, age wise specifically, not necessarily in other demographics, but yeah, Hollywood still did their own thing, but they tried to pull Frank Sinatra to be in Die Hard, believe it or not. Die Hard was written for Frank Sinatra because it was a sequel to his 1960 something movie, The Detective. And so it went to him first.
Huh.
And he was looking at that. And he was like 67 years old when he looked at that and he turned it down. So they changed the title, they changed the name of the character, and gave it to Bruce Willis, the younger person. You have somebody like Dave Bautista right now talking about how he can't do the roles that they might want to do. He doesn't consider himself available for Bane because he's too old to do the work.
Yeah.
It's only crazy people like Tom Cruise that want to do the work and do the stunt themselves and put everybody's money in jeopardy. You know, so I don't see how this switch into creating new and it's more evident in Marvel than it is anyplace else. New stars to take over these roles is absolutely important when you have franchises. So, there's where you have your Riri Williams, there's where you have your Kate Bishops, There's where you have Thor raising a stepdaughter, Love, to take his place as they go on. You have Jennifer Walters taking over for Bruce Banner because they're a lot younger. They can make more movies. They can do more things. So I think it's a red herring uh, to call Hollywood obsessed with you because you you kind of got to cycle through these guys. Uh, Warren, what do you think?
I mean, I'm okay with it. I mean, we see it with the Creed movies, right? It was Rocky based, and then it went to it was Sylvester Stallone, who now is much older now, and now we have Michael B. Jordan, who is leading that franchise in a different way, of course. So I I personally don't have a problem with it. Um, Now, in regards to the article, I mean, I don't know what to really say about that. You'd have to come back to me because I had something I was looking at, and I was looking at the 2021 movies, and I mean, for instance, I watched Tomorrow War, right? And I think the daughter who ends up helping Chris Pratt later on, she's a female. She played a major part in that movie. So I'm not sure about the percentage when it comes to women, but I guess they did their study, so they clearly know more than me, not in a facetious way. So yeah, that's kind of how I see it. I don't have a problem. People get old, they can't do certain things, and you got to pass the torch. Now I see now there. I don't see male or female there. I see passing the torch. That's all I see there.
Miss 1776. You have movies like, and this is going to catch you totally off guard, The 355, which didn't get any promotion and didn't do any well. You have Cocaine Bear, directed by a female lead, and she started off by saying things that made you think that she was preparing for it to do really, really poorly in the theaters, and basing it all on gender. You have The Woman King, which distorts history a little bit and caused its own controversy to get in the way, and then you blame sexist males for not going to these movies. Um, Elizabeth Banks, the director of Cocaine Bear, originally did the or did a version of the Charlie's Angels, and they all told people this is a movie isn't for you. If you don't like female leads, you can stay home. And people stayed home, and then they bashed men for not going and supporting this film. So that's where I get my question: is Hollywood intentionally making bad female-led movies to keep them down, so that they can have this glass ceiling that women can't get around?
Well, I'm sorry.
I mean, one, I just never trust any study that comes out of a university from California. And disclaimer, I actually graduated from a University of California, which is why I do not trust their studies because you can usually see certain, like they say, what do they say? Like, there's way to skew to statistics. Like when you looked at the age thing, I think it turned out like 58% was 30 and over, which is actually pretty good for, considering how they used to really go young in Hollywood. So, but they'll break it up. They'll do little things. Like you guys were talking about with the lead man. They skew things. But anyways, just to get away from that. Um, no, I think a lot of women are their own worst enemies. I think, like you said with Cocaine Bear, where she was gonna try to blame gender. It's like, okay, I don't know. I just feel like that's such a crutch to use instead of just being a badass. Like there were women who used to just be badasses, and they used to just go in there and they didn't talk about their gender. They just were like, they showed that they were as good as the men. And I just don't see that. I see this, oh, well, it's probably going to fail because I'm a woman and people don't want to watch these movies instead of going, well, no, probably your script sucks. Your
So
script sucks, and that's when I want to see it.
so you're saying they're actively so are they actively playing the victim role as the female actress then?
As the actress, well, I think that they complain. Well, I don't know. To me, I usually go a little bit more to the script person than really the actor because they're just doing whatever script they've been given. It's not necessarily their fault that they had a bad script. I'm sorry. I'm going. Sorry, it's early, guys. It's early.
We're gonna have a girly girl movie in Barbie that Margot Robbie's playing. I'm interested to see how that performs. We've had girly girl princess movies coming and going that aren't the aggressive women who are fighting all the time.
Well, even
Barb
Hunger Games was great. Hunger Game. I mean, I know everyone, and she rightfully so deserves crap for the stupid thing she said, but I thought Hunger Games was done wonderfully. And that was a female action
But it
hero,
wasn't a
and
yeah, oh, exactly.
Barbie's going to be an interesting thing to look at because the movie, as it was originally intended, was starring a female comedian who is not the picture perfect Barbie at all. And I forget what
Amy
her name
Schumer?
is. Yes, Amy Schumer was going to be Barbie, and the whole thing was going to
Uh-huh.
flip everything around, turn it on its head, and this is what Barbie looks like in the real world, and her whole thing. So I don't think much has changed with the script. I don't think much has changed with the intention. You're still going to get Barbie in the real world. You're going to have her trying to reconcile her world, where Ken and everybody else is perfect, kind of like that any sort of body switching movie or time travel movie where it's a fish out of water kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, People that have an idea for a movie try to do their best to make that film. So it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Um, but
Um, oh, go ahead.
please, please,
Um,
please, please.
I was gonna say 2022. Well, movie that stuck out to me that was very well directed and was female led was Prey. I thought that was a really good movie. I really wish it was um, released in theaters, but I think they kept the core concepts. They you know showed the relationship of brother, the Native American culture, how they operated the people coming because of in later movies you see like I'm not sure if they're from Spain but settlers. But I thought that that was a very well. I had no qualms in that movie. I thought that movie was a very good female-led movie, and I'm like, why can't they do more like this? So there are these little gems. Unfortunately, I would say the unfortunate part was that it was released on Hulu instead of um, in theaters.
Yeah, that movie itself is a victim of the streaming service experiment because with Disney acquiring Fox and 20th Century Studios, they have a need to make Hulu a destination site as a just like Disney Plus. Um, so they're taking their titles that were essentially meant to go out and bringing them in so that people will want to watch what they've got going on there. You've got originals now being produced that were initially meant to be in theaters and so forth. You got a new Alien that's being, well, I'm not going to get into that. We'll talk about that on a different time. Brand new Alien franchise being developed. Um, but Chill, have you got anything you want to add to this?
I don't think it's an intentional thing. It's just that when you put a woman in a lead role, it's usually as an afterthought or a, oh yeah, our big company and this huge studio isn't being female enough, so we'll just throw her in there, no thought of it. So they're not trying to make it fail. They're still trying to make money.
I think anybody see Big Trouble in Little China? In Big Trouble in Little China, you have Kurt Russell playing the big, muscle-bound guy, and he's got a sidekick person who they're trying to help. He's a little Asian dude. They're trying. His wife to be was kidnapped at the airport by some slave traders, and they go on this grand adventure to rescue her. And there's um, sorcery and magic and all these kinds of things. And Kurt Russell is a complete buffoon, and the sidekick is the one who's very effective at everything else. And so you have this pattern here that fits what they may be trying to do. And it's also, if you were to remake this, um, which is something they like to do as well, is take an ancient property and turn it into something new. They could continue, and they could put somebody like Dwayne the Rock Johnson in that role of Jack, the lead character, but instead of having a little Asian dude, have it be a female, and everything else stays the same. She's got a bride coming in. Uh, there's a kidnapping, and she does all of the hard lifting, and he gets all of the credit, and everything winds up being exactly the way they try to present it in some of these films where they step on people to make prop up somebody else. Going back to the first topic of emasculating men, um, all of that comes into play if you just find the right property and rearrange the characters.
The other thing I noticed is that they didn't have, and I know they're just focusing on movies, but I mean, you lose a big aspect too when you don't mention the television series. Because I'm thinking of a lot of television series that we have out right now that are, um, female led, and I 1883 kind of fell at the end of 2021 and the beginning of 2022, but that was female led and it was very wonderfully done. I mean, that's how you do a strong female character, was it showed her growth throughout the series of her learning how to, be more independent, and she's pretty crazy. She's a cool character. I don't want to spoil it for anybody who wants to watch the series. And same with 1923, you have a very strong Harrison Ford and a very strong Helen Mirren. So it's done. It's especially in television. But again, that's a man, Taylor Sheridan, who cares about his scripts, and he does not, like, I think he has, like, in his contract where basically the studios, no one can kind of get in and monkey with any of his scripts. It's like just him. He has total control of it. So
Did they say how much percentage for TV, or did it just keep it at movies? I
just
don't.
kept
It
it.
was, yeah, movies, just it.
They got to take more studies at the Center for Women's Studies.
Well, it's
Well,
California.
you never know. They probably didn't publish the ones that didn't push their ideas ahead.
Could be.
I remember reading in a newspaper that in a study back when they used to print these things called newspapers, and it was folded up and it had all kinds of articles in it, and they would deliver it to your door, and you would have a subscription, and they had these funnies and comics in it. It's a wonderful thing from the old days. But in this newspaper there was an article about coffee and how it was dangerous for you and how it was not good for you, and people were suggesting that people drink instead juices and other things and milk, and these studies were put on by the financial opponents of coffee. And then later on, we get a study that shows how coffee is great for you. And this was put on by the coffee lobby. So they're using the same basic information and skewing it one way or the other to show that it's good. And you can go back and you can find studies that say eggs are bad, eggs are good, eggs are okay. There was a recent study, excuse me, that says that mild use of cocaine isn't harmful.
Especially for bears.
And I think I shared that with some people, and it went back to the Woody Harrelson thing, but I'm not going to go back that far. But anyway, the anybody know what my point was?
Numbers
Uh,
can be skewed, so maybe they're withholding that females have more of a presence on TV, and that's why we didn't see that statistic.
Well,
Yeah, yeah. Because Warren's got the anecdotal evidence right there to show us, and we all remember these roles that we've seen in movies and TV, and we know for a fact that well written, strong female leads are possible and are beloved by the fandom out there. Warren, you had something?
yeah. This is sort of the entertainment industry, and it's sort of the dealing with intentional. So, we all know the WNBA, right? And it's a point where sometimes the female players say something, and then they um it's like the men are like supporting them, and then like they basically are like no. So there's a instance where Andre Iguodala said number 23 because he didn't know the name. Um, she was hooping, right? Okay, me if somebody was watching me and they said number 23 was hooping, I'd be like, damn, that's great. She's like, put some. She responded in her tweet, put some respect on my name. It's like, come on, lady, what is wrong with you? Like, just it's as if like if they what I'm trying to get at is if they get like a compliment in the sense in the entertainment or something, or someone's like supporting them, it's like don't you dare do it. I stand on my own. But then they come back and fall back and say, well, we're not doing you guys aren't helping us. It's like what? Like so I think that might be also happening in the movie industry is what I was going to get at. I think that there are male people that want the females to perform well in the theaters and in the shows and heck, even Broadway, right? But um, when you have people coming out like Jennifer Lawrence saying stuff like that, like who wants to support? Because
What
that
in her defense, she was told that. That's what she said. That was her quote. That she was told that she was the first female action hero.
so
Um,
she didn't want to take accountability for making a mistake, so she said she was told that, quote
no, that
unquote.
that was the quote that was that drew all the ire. Yeah, she said, "I was told that I was the first female action hero,"
She's
and
first as like the highest grossing, maybe.
did she live in a cave her whole life and not watch any movies till then? I mean,
well,
Exactly.
they do keep their actors very well protected. I'll tell you that. So, they only get out when they're on location. So,
I miss the days when they just shut up and looked pretty sometimes.
And those days are not going away. I don't think that we're ever going to lose the young female actors. That bias, it's not going to ever get better. I disagree with you, Rosales. It's got nothing to do with the Screen Actors Guild, but it does have to do with SAG.
SAG. Love the way that sounds. SAG. So I was perusing around, of course, as you all know, that you can tell through this entire stream. I've been on Twitter looking at stuff. Uh, when Michael Douglas appeared digitally de-aged in the first Ant-Man film, it was just the start of the capabilities of computer tech and AI in Hollywood films. Now the Academy Award-winning actor is mulling over licensing his likeness for his estate. He's not going to be able to act after he's dead, but his name comes with recognition, his likeness comes with recognition, and there's still value to be had in his name and his likeness. Now, we all saw how Luke Skywalker came back and in the Mandalorian and just looked sort
Eh.
of okay, But here we have an instance where you have these mocap actors, and in this case, it's from the Last of Us video game. To illustrate, they come in and they do the job of the character. Now, we're at a position now where we can take that character and put just about anybody's face on it, and you have resurrected dead people uh, doing these things. Here's the girl who was in Alita: Battle Angel. She's doing her own face, but it was skewed for that particular role. And here we got the guy who played Grand Moff Tarkin in Rogue One.
This was decent.
Yeah, and that actor, his estate was handsomely compensated, and he they got permission to do that, just like in the case of the Ant Man star. But the man who did the work, how much credit is he going to get? I mean, he's not going to get nominated for an award for doing the job
Yeah.
of putting on somebody else's face and doing somebody else's voice.
In 23, that's not an award yet. Maybe 2043, that's an award.
So, my question, of course, is it okay to cast dead actors if the estate gets a cut? And is it fair to the mocap actors doing the acting? Chill, what do you got to say?
I'm fine with all of it. If we come to pre-recording agreements, then we're good. It's like a prenuptial marriage, you know. Is it okay for the woman not to get half? Well, it is if you guys agree to it before the marriage. Yeah.
Warren, what do you think?
I'm okay with it as long as parties sit down, talk about it. I agree with Chill. I'm sure there's going to be some sort of best supporting AI actor in 2043, so that's going to come up at some point. I don't disagree with any of this. Just as long as they get the right and they just don't do it without the permission. I think I agree with I not I think I agree with it all.
Miss 1776?
No, I think it's creepy. I think it's creepy. I think there's going to be some uh, terrible implications down the road. I think what it makes me also think of what were we talking about last week with the
The deep fakes?
The Shazam. I can't pronounce that this morning. Shazam. Okay, help me out here. I can't.
Shazam.
Thank
Shazam.
you.
There you go.
Like how you had those people going, well, we're not going to watch it because there's not going to be a second one. Well, I feel like, okay, they're going to be like that with the dead actors. They're going to be like, oh, I want my favorite dead actor like in this movie forever, in this role forever, and they'll never let new up and coming actors get a chance. Um, like I said, people are just going to be like unable to let go of things even more than they're already at now. And then it also makes you think of like, well, if it's licensed, does it fall under copyright? And then if it falls under copyright, is it like, does it go into public domain after 70 years? I mean, that means that your face is going to be there forever. Is this going to affect people in the real world? Is one day they're going to be doing that to us? I don't know. There's just too
There's a lot of
much.
reasons that you're bringing up that I. Is Warren going to say something?
No, I tapped it by accident.
Okay, like those are valid. Like I don't want to ever restrain another young actor from getting popular because we're too fixated on that old guy who died like 10 years ago. But every time we do it, Tarkin and we do Luke, it's always like cameos. It's too expensive to have them there for so long. So maybe I'm not seeing the dangers that you are, but I recognize those dangers exist as soon as we get enough money and the accessibility where it's just you click an on button and all of a sudden the AI is there. But from where the way it is now, it costs millions for like a 3 minute interaction with an AI character. So they're not going to ever have a lead character do the fake AI.
You had Andy Serkis doing Gollum, and everybody made a stink about that because he didn't get a nomination. He was just incredible in that role, and his his basically a lead actor in 3 films in the Planet of the Apes franchise, where that character, even though it's easier to do because it's an animal,
Yeah.
was basically there throughout the entire movie doing the mocap. There were a ton of actors who did that, and he is still not getting the credit that he deserves for the acting ability he has to pull through that digital mask, if you will. So
So when they do the award, they call it the Andy Serkis Award or the
that
Caesar Award.
the Caesar Award. Now, let's say you're okay with it, Chill,
Yeah.
but let me postulate a little bit and look to the future and um, challenge you with this particular idea. they don't recast T'Challa and they bring him in from an alternate universe and they have a mocap actor
Uh-huh.
and what's his name's face? It's disrespectful that I forgot his name, but
Chadwick.
Chadwick Boseman. Yes, they have Chadwick Boseman's face, and they're doing a Tarkin with him.
Yeah,
Is that
I
acceptable to
want a
you?
permanent T'Challa. It's kind of not even my problem. Like even if it was another actor, let's just take Aldous Hodge. If they said, "Oh, this is T'Challa. He's from Universe 155." All right, I'd still be like, "Yeah, whatever. It's not the real one. Whatever." So the changing of the face wouldn't matter. It wouldn't change that to me.
Okay, okay. I just wanted
It'd be
to
cool though.
double
That'd be
check.
cool. Like, oh, that's Chadwick Boseman. Oh, I wouldn't feel it like, how dare you? He's supposed to be dead. I'd be like, I get it because that's the way he looked. I mean, you don't need to because this is a multiverse. People can look different. You don't necessarily need him to look that way.
I think my only problem with the AI stuff is its implications on social media platforms. That's where I'm scared about.
You mean like the way they made James Gunn admit he was wrong about the DC universe
Yeah.
during Valentine's?
Something like that, yeah. And we're seeing more and more filters on like Instagram and I'm not sure about Twitter. Snap. I don't use Snapchat and TikTok, so that's my only concern. But again, that's social media. That's not media. So I mean, we'll cross that bridge when we get there, I suppose.
We're there with this. All of the presidents deciding which Star Wars is better. Have you seen those videos where they'll get all four presidents?
I haven't
I
watched
haven't
that.
seen that. I haven't seen that. You got it? You got it somewhere close by? We'll pull
There's
it
a
up real
lot
quick.
of them. There's like, what's the best
Uh,
Mario
the,
game? They always like discuss things.
oh, the best one was presidents play League of Legends. That's so funny, man.
Yeah,
Never saw
Biden
those.
argues with Trump, and then
I'll
Obama.
put the link. I'll find it. Hold on.
They're all over the place. I don't know if it's the same guy doing them, but there's so many different things that have the presidents fighting. It's crazy. Ronald Reagan even has a AI voice thing.
I can't keep up with everything. I got to mow my lawn. You know.
Oh my god, you're like so 7 days ago, bro. I've been as soon as I got one, I watched the second and the third and the fourth. They're fun.
Yes, I'm very, very behind the times, if you will. That's what we used to say. You're behind the times. Miss 1776, any final thoughts before Warren pulls up this link of presidents?
I mean, I'm looking forward to the link. So
Oh, okay. I see. And let me try to.
Oh, there's no music, so no copyright. By the way, there's no music.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well, now my technical proficiency is not what it should be. So uh, I can't pull that up without disturbing what I got planned already. You think you can pull it up, Chill? It's there in the private chat. Let's see.
Boys, let's get this W. I'm in my gold promo, so focus up.
Of course. You lock in the most broken, filthy champion to ever graze the grass of the top lane? Have you ever even played Fiora? I thought you were a Riven OTP.
Of course, I played Fiora. I'm actually a Mastery 7 with like over 100K Mastery points. I would use the emote, but my control key is actually broken, so yeah.
Hey, where is Joe?
So wait, why?
I
what
think
do
he's
pick?
looking
There's
for
a
the
red
chocolate chip.
But this blue one is quite
Just
nice
pick the
as
blue
well.
one, Joe.
Guys, which Pokemon do I buy? I'm
Does
not
he
sure.
realize he's in league right now?
It's okay, guys. I bought the Charmander. What do I do now?
Joe, you realize you're the jungler. You need to go farm your camp so you don't fall behind. Remember, this is my promo game. Don't you dare fuck with me, Sleepy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's nice. That's awesome.
I love the cat ears too. The cat ear headphones.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, that channel. That's the guy. He has a lot of videos. I've been watching them. It's really good, actually.
So let's see. Where were we? Oh yeah, the HBO Last of Us, episode 8. What'd you think of that, Miss 1776?
I really didn't care for the direction that they took. And the other thing is, I don't know, watching the game, I rewatched the game part because I thought I was missing some stuff. I was a little confused when I was watching the show. I was going, okay, that's a little different. And I just really liked the voice acting on the game more than I really like, what's her name? Bella something? Oh, Bella Ramsey's acting. And it's nothing against her. I just feel like her character, how they wrote her, maybe she's a little bit too bratty for me. And she's a little too, you know, where Ellie was like kind of more unsure when she was trying to be like strong, but because obviously she has like these two guys and she's trying to kind of be strong. It was more like you would expect a kid to act where they're scared, but yet they're trying to put on a front. Whereas Bella Ramsey comes up a little bratty for me. I'm like, okay, well, that's just not. It's realistic. There's no like. There should be a little bit more scared behind it. So I mean, but that's just my complaint. So
Warren, what'd you think?
Well, I thought the episode was okay at best. That's not. It's not one of my favorites. It was nice to see her on her own, um, and I had a feeling that they were doing, munching on themselves, but they had to confirm that. So that was, but yeah, I don't know. It just wasn't my favorite. I thought, I can't really put it in words. Maybe I need to watch it again, but I didn't have a real connection. I sound like I'm one of those people that like I'm vibing with it. No, like I just didn't. I wasn't feeling this episode. Maybe I have to watch it again to give you a better. I watched the whole thing. It just I don't know. I just can't put it into words. It just wasn't the episode for me.
Yeah,
It
well,
was okay at best.
the initial story in the video game has a whole out of the frying pan into the fire feel to it, and there were different levels of anxiety that went up and higher and higher and higher. And I don't think I got to agree with you guys. I don't think they captured that essence, the essence of it, of the video game was missing. The elements were there, but just like um, there was a movie called Alien, and then there was a stage play done by a high school about Alien, and they had paper mache creatures and everything else, and they poured their hearts into it. It just wasn't exactly the same as the film, and so things can get lost in adaptation. I think they continue to lay the seeds and the groundworks for season two more than they are taking care of what's happening in this particular season, and I think you can get lost in laying groundwork. Um, but in the directions that they're going, um, I think there's hope we're going to see giraffes this time around. So I'm looking forward to the season finale and see how they wrap things up and move on with that. Chill. Any thoughts?
I thought this was Pedro Pascal's best performance the entirety of the show. He's been a standout. We know what he can do. The Last of Us story is doing a good job of developing, and I'm bullshitting because I did not watch the show. I just thought I could get away with saying stuff like that. To see. No, I don't watch the show, man. Sorry.
Okay, well that's fine. That's fine because you know what? It's you were on a roll and you were doing really well. If you'd have just found a way to just kind of wrap that up real quick, we would have bought all into it.
I was gonna say, I thought actually Pedro Pascal did do a really good job in his acting. Like,
Oh,
they
cool.
actually had him being strong this time, and obviously when he was, well, I don't know, like when he was, doing his interrogation thing. I mean, that felt just like the game where it was like that. Okay, he's like back. He's not like crying in the, in the corner again. So that really bothered me when they had him crying like that. I just, it's not because men can't cry. It's just because it was like I said, I know the character type, and it's like that's not the character type. That's not that personality, and that's not how they
What
just
bothered
break
me,
down.
what
Sorry.
bothered me the most was the insane amount of penicillin that she injected into his body. It was ridiculous because it was, if you looked at the syringe, that syringe, she got two shots out of it full 100%, and this big fat syringe, that was more than what she had in the jar. And she just jabbed that right into him and shoved it into his stomach. It would have been more effective if they didn't show the injection, I think, because then you can kind of play around with, okay, maybe she got the right dose, maybe she didn't get the right dosage. Nobody told her what kind of dosage, and she was just flooding his system with penicillin, and that's not good.
I mean, we saw her sew him up with like a dirty needle. So, I mean,
Well, she needed the penicillin for that. So, any last thoughts, anybody?
Their strengths are when they stick to accuracy. That's been proven.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. All right. We're up to the lightning round now, guys, and it's kind of a random lightning round. So we are arranged. Let's see. Let's do this. All right. We're going to go from top to bottom, the three of you guys. Okay. Starting with Miss 76, Chillmonger, and then Warren. There is no particular category in this lightning round. We're just going to go really quickly. Marx Brothers or Three Stooges?
Three Stooges.
I know the Stooges. I'll choose Stooges.
Oh, Stooges all the way.
New York style or Chicago style?
Chicago.
New York.
New York.
Yeah.
You set me up for Zolman.
Warren?
Oh,
New
yeah, it's in
York?
New York. Yeah, New York.
Oh, okay. I thought you were surprised by it. New York? Spirit or JetBlue?
JetBlue.
No contest.
JetBlue.
That's an even. Wow. Coors Light or hard tea?
Hard tea.
I abstain.
Hard tea. Coors Light is dog.
Yeah, it's like sex in a canoe. It's effing close to water. That's it. That's the lightning round for this time. Any final thoughts on things that happened this week, guys?
I haven't watched Mandalorian episode 2. I have to watch that. So I'll see. I know that Creed got released. So my friend, I'm gonna watch all the Creed movies before I watch the last one. So because my friend's like, "What? You haven't watched Creed?" I'm like, "Oh, no, I didn't think it was."
Yeah, it's rewarding. They mentioned things from the first and second.
So I'm going to do that. Yeah, that's all I can think of. And this was a boring week after. I mean, not much happened, rather. Sorry. Yeah.
So what do you got planned for the week then?
Oh, what do I have planned? Well, just going to the gym twice a day. I'm gonna go out.
Really?
Yeah, I go to the gym twice. I go to the gym in the morning, then I work, and then I go back in the evening. I really don't like going. Even my friends know this. From like January to about late April, I try not to go out. I kind of hibernate because I think there's not much going on. So that's just how I am. So I'm like, you know what? Let me get my body right. Let me be able to have like a tight shirt. So, I can,
you can show your camera on screen.
Yeah, I'll do that in April for you guys. I'll finally do a face reveal. So again.
Chillmonger, you probably have some things coming up this week.
I want to see the neck reveal. I'm doing 65. I watched that movie, so I'll probably do a review of it. But it's like going to be the most lamest review. Oh yeah, it was just a movie. It was cool. So it was there. What else am I doing? I don't know. I think I'll talk about the Woman King sometime. And what else do I want to do? What's the comic that's coming out this week?
Shazam is coming out this week.
The movie? Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I'll cover that movie. I gotta see that because it's actually getting good reviews, which is positive. But Again, I don't care much for them, but it's nice to see that there's hype around this, and I hope it makes a lot of money, even if it is a dead end. I hope that they make their money there at Warner Brothers for their comic book stuff.
I made sure to say this on other people's streams, even though they probably won't be continuing this particular storyline. Maybe they don't bring back Zachary Levi. Maybe they go in a totally different direction. I am still going to support the final farewell tour of the old guard's DC project. So I will be out with my son to see that on Thursday. Miss 1776, what have you got going on?
No, I'm probably going to harass MSK on, was it variety, content, entertainment, and vice versa. We like to pick at each other. That's what I'm going to be doing. And then probably piss off someone on Twitter like usual. Hopefully I won't get myself banned, though. So are we watching something this week? Was there a show?
The Last of Us season finale is tonight.
Right, but there was another show that were we supposed to watch it? Shoot, I can't remember what it's called. It was something on Amazon Prime.
Oh, yes. We were going to take a look at my goodness, I don't forgot the name of it. What in the world was that?
Is it female led?
There's some females in it. It's the D&D adaptation from the Critical Role guys. The Vox Machina. That's what it is. Yeah. They've got they've got 2 seasons in the hole, and their whole thing is that they did a D&D campaign for many years and did it on Twitch and gained a following and have made millions and got a contract from Amazon to produce up to 3 seasons of this cartoon. And they're picking and choosing from their different campaigns online and creating all of this content based on D&D, which I believe prompted Wizards of the Coast to change their licensing agreements that said that they can they get a percentage of anything you do based on it, because Amazon has got deep pockets, and I think Wizard of the Coast wanted in on some of those deep pockets because they weren't getting it. And so Amazon and these guys at Critical Role wound up making some significant changes in the bestiary, if you will, the monster manual, and changing a lot of the things so that they weren't items you would find in their D&D campaign, but were still similar enough that they could be a threat to the party. And I think we may have a special guest to talk about these things in the near future. And so I invited the 1776 to have a look at season 1.
I'll watch it too. I need something to watch. I forgot to mention I'm gonna probably be doing a show with MSK reviewing the season of the European esports for League of Legends. The second part of the winter split started, so I've been watching all the games. There's going to be games happening after this, after you guys finish up here later on today, much later in the afternoon. So I'm going to be doing that because that's going to lead up into the international event, which is MSI for League of Legends. So yeah, League of Legends content. I'll probably be doing that with MSK sometime next week.
Okay, Sleepy Joe.
Yeah, you should watch the whole thing.
I think 3 out of 4 of us will be doing something this week with MSK.
I'll probably be on those live chats.
Oh yes, you always seem to chime in, and you got some good points in there. How come you don't join the stream?
I've joined his stream a lot of times in the past. He just didn't give me the invitation. I actually didn't follow him on Twitter because he got a new one in November, and I didn't even realize that until like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, he got thrown off the Twitter.
He got permanently suspended.
He did some naughty things
I'll
And,
DM him. I'll ask him for an invitation. And we can team up again. We did a recast T'Challa video back when that was in November.
Mhm.
You know, I
And-
admire the guy because he really does do he really is big on the First Amendment. For him to have gotten suspended, I mean, I'm pretty impressed.
I was impressed with him because he's got a Discord of people that follow him, and he doesn't really join in on it, but there's people that follow him, and they have a Discord and they talk about him all the time. They've made memes of him, so he's the first person I know in real life who has been memed.
Yeah.
You know, and he's monetized, so you got to give him credit where credit is due. He's doing everything that a streamer should do, and a lot of stuff a streamer shouldn't. So it's like watching a salmon swim upstream. You know where it's headed, and you don't know when the bear's going to pop out.
I like the little engine that could.
Yes, I think I can. Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here. If you're watching the replay of this, we'd love to hear from you. Go ahead and post in the comments. I'll reply as soon as I can, as best I can. We'll be back next week for another one. We may or may not have everybody. You never can tell what's going to happen on Sunday morning, Super Sunday wrap up. That's what it's called, I believe. But just go out there and make it a great day.